Happy holidays, everyone! Hi, everyone, it's me, Gaming Do, and welcome to Tier List B of the 11th round of Tier Lists. And this tier list, we are going to be ranking 25 Christmas movies. Yes, guys, this is going to be a Christmas movie tier list, and we're just going to go from the normal S to D tier, and yeah, without further ado, let's get started with 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. I'm gonna put it in A tier. This is a really charming little movie. It's one of Rankin Bass's, I think it's one of their earlier films if I'm not mistaken, but I haven't watched it too much, so I can't give it an S tier, but I still think it's a really charming little special. It's basically about this mouse family, like, you know, the "Twas the Night Before Christmas" story with all, and not even a mouse. It's basically about the mouse family and Santa Claus and stuff like that. It's my favorite is the little song, the "Merry Merry Christmas, Merry Merry Christmas." It's so freaking charming, but I can't give it an S because I haven't watched it too many times, but I remember watching this especially a lot when I was little. I plan on watching it again this year, though. Bad Santa is next, the polar opposite. It's like an innocent, charming little one with "'Twas the Night Before Christmas." This one's a crass, vulgar Christmas movie. I'll put it in B. It's funny, but it doesn't really get me into the holiday season as much as some of the others on this list. Like, it's not bad. If it's funny, it's really funny, but I don't really feel that Christmassy with this movie. Like, I feel like more than most movies on this list, I could watch it during the normal months without too much of a problem. And yeah, Bad Santa is gonna get a B. I think it's pretty good, but not one of my favorites. Christmas Who? S tier. This is one of the best SpongeBob episodes of all time. This is actually the only pick on this list that was on both this and my last tier list I did, but this is about Christmas movies and specials that I like, so I decided to add Christmas Who, which is one of my favorite Christmas specials. The story of Christmas coming down to Bikini Bottom, and Squidward at first trying to ruin it, but then realizes he did wrong, so he decides to take the big job of becoming Santa Claus for Bikini Bottom, and it's a sweet, heartwarming story, and it's one of the most heartwarming episodes of SpongeBob, that's for sure. It's a really good special, and it's one of my favorite Christmas specials of all time. How the Grinch Stole Christmas, 1966. Also gonna go in S tier. I'm gonna put it below Christmas Who, but still, I think this is an excellent Christmas movie. It's classic. Everybody knows the story of all the Who's down in Whoville. They love Christmas, but the Grinch, who lives in the mountain north, does not. And I love this special to death. I like to watch it every single year and stuff like that. It warms my heart. It's funny, it's heartwarming, and my favorite part of the Christmas special is when the Grinch redeems himself, and what else can I say? How the Grinch Stole Christmas is just a freaking classic. So is Mickey's Christmas Carol, which I'll also put in S, but I will put below Grinch and Christmas Who. This is such a freaking... it tells basically a Christmas Carol, but with Scrooge McDuck as Mr. Scrooge, and it's such... Most of these Christmas movies, I mainly can say they're very heartwarming. This is no exception. Seeing all the different Mickey Mouse characters and their roles as Christmas Carol characters is so friggin' charming to see. And it's even a little bit sad and stuff like that, so it really tugs at your heartstrings, but Mickey's Christmas Carol is really good. I should have included the Once Upon a Christmas and Twice Upon a Christmas as well, but I'll talk about those movies in the future. For now, I only included the 1983 Mickey's Christmas Carol special, which is the one I'm the most familiar with, and I love it. Santa Claus is Coming to Town. I'm gonna put it in A above 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. I initially, when I watched this in 2020, I loved it. I still love it. I think it's an awesome Christmas special, but I don't quite like it as much as some of the other Rankin Bass specials on the. In fact, I might even put it below 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. I just find 'Twas the Night Before Christmas more charming. This is still charming, but I don't know. It's gone a little down over the years for me, but still, it's really heartwarming. I'm going to say that about every film on this list, except Bad Santa and stuff like that. We're doing Home Alone 2 first. I'll put it in A. I'll put it at the bottom of A, though. I think it's a really good sequel to the first movie. I think it's a little less Christmassy than the first movie, so that's why I won't put it at S. But I think it's almost as funny and stuff like that, and Kevin going against the two thieves in this movie, it's funny again. What can I say? It's basically Home Alone in the big city. I love this movie, but not as much as the original. How the Grinch Stole Christmas from 2000. Whoever says this movie is bad, really, I respect your opinion, but I can't help but say this is up. I can't put into words how much I love this movie. Every single joke in this entire movie makes me laugh. I hear a lot of the internet critics and stuff like that give this movie a bad rep and stuff like that, and yeah, it's very silly, but it's also very charming, and it's freaking hilarious. Especially Kiss It, Whoville. Oh my god, I love this movie. It's one of my favorite Christmas movies of all time, and nothing is going to change that. I'm sorry to all the haters of this movie, and I'm sorry to everyone who says, oh, the original is better. The original is close, definitely. It's very close to me. They're very neck and neck, but I like the Jim Carrey version a little bit more. And it's one of my all-time favorite Christmas movies. Elf is going in S tier as well. I will put it at the bottom of S tier. I think it's hilarious. Not quite as hilarious as Jim Carrey's Grinch, but my favorite scene is when he drinks the big bottle of cola and has that big belch. It's freaking hilarious, but this movie is charming, it's funny, it's got Will Ferrell in it, and he's almost always freaking hilarious. So, what else can I say? Except, it's Elf. Everybody loves this movie, and I do too. It's an S-tier movie for me. Home Alone, the original next. I'm gonna put this right below the original Grinch. I'll put it above Mickey's Christmas Carol and Elf. This movie took me a while to get to. I actually didn't see Home Alone until I was in high school. But I think it was Christmas 2018 I decided to finally buy these two movies, and I watched them both for the very first time in 2018. And every year since, I've watched these movies every Christmas. What can I say? Kevin McAllister is such a little freaking genius in this film with all the cool traps. And actually, it's really only the ending of the movie that's the traps and stuff like that, but that's what everybody else remembers. The rest of the movie is just super friggin' charming. What else can I say? It's Home Alone. It's one of the best Christmas movies of all time. A Charlie Brown Christmas. Whew. It's definitely an S tier for me, but Would I put it above Home Alone and Original Grinch? I think maybe Home Alone, but not quite as much as the original Grinch. This and The Great Pumpkin are the two Peanut specials that I grew up with the most. I watched the Thanksgiving one a fair amount too, but Charlie Brown Christmas and Great Pumpkin I grew up with like hell. And this is a classic. I mean, from the freaking tree Charlie Brown gets to, the music especially is my favorite part of this. Whether it's the songs or just the background music that plays in this special, it's my favorite. My favorite part of A Charlie Brown Christmas is the music. The music in this special is just so freaking tugs at your heartstrings and reminds you of childhood and stuff like that. But it's also really funny. My favorite part is when Snoopy does the freaking animal impressions. I love that scene. Charlie Brown Christmas is such a charming special. I'm going to put it in between Home Alone and How the Grinch Stole Christmas from '66. All of the Other Reindeer. This is probably the most underrated Christmas movie of all time. I'm freaking serious. I'm putting it above How the Grinch Stole Christmas from 1966. Anybody who watched Cartoon Network during the holiday season knows this special, and this was made by the same creator as The Simpsons, and I'm actually going to go watch this movie as soon as I'm done making this video. Okay. Ignore the flickering going on up there. I'm sorry if it was flickering and that was distracting to you guys. Okay, what is it doing? Alright. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to move that down there so you don't see the flickering there. Where were we? All of the Other Reindeer. All of the Other Reindeer is such a freaking underrated Christmas special. It's basically about this dog who hears the phrase Santa and all of the other reindeer, but she mistakes it as Olive the other reindeer, or her flea friend does. And then she has to go to the North Pole to basically save Christmas and become the other reindeer. It's so freaking funny and so charming, and all the songs are great in this movie. I love All of the Other Reindeer. It's seriously, I put it over the original Grinch, for crying out loud. I love this one. It's one of my favorites. The Santa Claus 3. Probably my least favorite so far. I don't really like it that much. I think it's decent, but it's not as good as the other Tim Allen Santa Claus films. I don't know. I just don't find it as funny. I don't really have too much more to say about it. Polar Express. I'm going to put the Polar Express in the A tier. I think it might be one of the Christmas movies that's slightly overrated. Slightly. I still think it's great, but it's slightly overrated. My favorite part is the Hot Chocolate song. That's just such a bop to it. And this is in my opinion, one of the best animated films of all time in terms of the animation. It's just so beautiful to look at and realistic and stuff like that. Other than that, I don't have too much more to say about the Polar Express, but I guess I'll tell you that we used to do a little Christmas play every year, and one year we did the Polar Express. And, oh no, they read us the story in the auditorium when I was a kid, the Polar Express. But Polar Express is an awesome film, but not quite S tier for me. Year Without a Santa Claus, however, is an S tier movie. You know what? I'm actually going to move 'Twas the Night Before Christmas to S. Bottom of S, but this is just such a charming film that I have to put it in S. Year Without a Santa Claus, I'm going to put it right below Home Alone. The highlight of this film is Heat Miser and Snow Miser. Their songs are just such a bop. He's Mr. Green Christmas. He's Mr. Sun. He's Mr. 101. I like the Snow Miser better, but that's just what I was thinking of. Anyways, this is a movie about the year Santa Claus takes off because he's sick and stuff like that, but, Mrs. Claus, tries to take over, and they try to get the, Heat Miser and Snow Miser to stop fighting and stuff like that. This is just such a classic special. What else can I say? Year Without a Santa Claus is awesome. Santa Claus 2, way better than Santa Claus 3, but not quite as good as the original, so I'll put it an A. Santa Claus 2 is, not one that, I only watched this one twice, and it was when I was very young, so I don't remember a heck of a lot about it, but from what I remember, I love this special. I loved it a lot as a kid. I just didn't really have the incentive to watch this because I wanted to watch the rest of the Christmas movies above at S tier and even higher on the A tier and stuff like that. Like one you'll see, which is actually the last one on this tier list. But we got, it's still a very funny film. I mainly, sadly, actually remember most of the movie from the trailers during the Finding Nemo VHS tape, but I did watch this movie twice when I was little, but I don't remember a heck of a lot about it, but I remember really liking it when I was a kid, so I'll put it at A. Nightmare Before Christmas, S tier, but put it below Mickey's Christmas Carol. The thing is, I think this is way more a Halloween movie than it is a Christmas movie, but I think for the very first time I'm actually going to watch this movie during the Christmas season because I didn't watch it during Halloween, so I'm going to watch it during the Christmas season this year. I usually watch it during Halloween because I think of it way more as a Halloween movie than a Christmas movie, but I think it's acceptable to watch it as a Christmas movie too, because of course, it's The Nightmare Before Christmas. It's about Jack Skellington discovering the Christmas world, and he basically takes over Christmas and gives all the children all sorts of scary gifts and stuff like that. And the songs are the most memorable part of this movie, from What's This? What's This? to, La 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 la. Everyone knows the songs in this movie, and what else can I say? I love the songs in this movie. They're the highlight of The Nightmare Before Christmas for me. Okay, excuse me for a second while I did that. That was me clicking on my bar right there. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is my... Well... Yeah, there's no Christmas movie I like more than Rudolph. This, every year since I was pretty much born, I've watched this movie. And you know the story. It's about Rudolph basically having a red nose, and nobody likes him, basically. It's actually a very mean movie, but it's so charming that you can't help but love it. And, it's basically about Rudolph going on an adventure with Hermie, because they're misfits and they're trying to basically run away from their problems, but then they learn... Well, then they find Yukon Cornelius and are chased by the Abominable, and they go on the island of misfit toys, and then they learn that running away is not really what they're supposed to do, even though they're misfits. Deal with your problems. This movie's kind of tough to you, but that's what I love about it. It's a mean movie, but it's a freaking charming movie at the same time. I watch this every single year, and I will multiple times a year. I love Rudolph. It's such a freaking excellent movie. It's my favorite Christmas movie of all time. Shrek the Halls. Shrek the Halls is also going to be an S tier, believe it or not. I am going to put it at the bottom of S tier because it's not as classic as some of the others, but I love Shrek and I associate this movie to be close to, if not as good as the first and second Shrek movie. So this movie is basically about Shrek bringing Christmas to the swamp for the first time, and a big Christmas party ensues, and Shrek doesn't like it at first and kicks everybody out, but then realizes he's alone on Christmas and doesn't really want to, so he gets all his friends and fairy tale creatures to come back, and then he tells the story of 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, Shrek style, basically. I love Shrek the Halls. It's a classic to me. It's not a classic to most, but I'll actually put this above Elf. But it's on the lower tier of S for me. Most of the Christmas movies here are S tier. I love Christmas movies. What else can I say? Die Hard. I wasn't a huge fan of it. I'm sorry. Please don't come after me. I like it. I think it's a good movie. But I'm sorry. Yes, it is technically a Christmas movie, but it just does not get me into the holiday mood. As a movie and the action and stuff like that, it's hard to beat. But I'm just not a huge fan of Die Hard. I can't help it. Alright, 5 more movies to rank, guys. We have Frosty the Snowman next. This movie's actually fallen off a little bit for me. I'll give it an A. I still have a lot of nostalgia for this movie, but I don't know. I think it's a little too short compared to Rudolph. It's like Rudolph's twice the length of Frosty, and I don't know. I think there could be a little more of a story to this one, I guess you can say. But it's still a super charming film about Frosty and Karen, which is a name associated with people basically being toxic at stores now. But anyways, this Karen is pretty awesome though. But Frosty the Snowman is about Frosty and Karen going to the North Pole before Frosty melts away and stuff like that, because he realizes he's not going to live forever and stuff like that. But he melts because the evil magician locks him in the green room. That evil magician is evil, and I think he should have gotten more of a punishment for what he did. But Frosty the Snowman has gone a little down for me over the years. I still think it's good, but it's not quite one of my absolute favorites anymore. I'll put it in A. Fred Claus is next. Fred Claus is the movie with Vince Vaughn and Paul Giamatti. I'll put it in A. I will actually put it, I'll put it, hey Crow, mind your own business. That Crow really likes Fred Claus, by the way, if you didn't know. That's Crow for Fred Claus is not overrated. And it's not. But it's not one of my favorites. I think it's funny, and stuff like that, but the main thing I remember from this movie, sort of like the Santa Claus 2, is from the trailers while watching, I believe it was Happy Feet on DVD when I was little, so I don't remember a heck of a lot about this movie. But I actually saw this movie in the movie theaters when it came out, so I'm surprised that I don't remember a heck of a lot about Fred. I think I might be the only Christmas... I did go and see The Nightmare Before Christmas re-release in theaters one time, but other than that and Fred Claus, those are really only 2 Christmas movies I saw in the movie theater, actually. And I like Fred Claus, I do, but it's not one of my favorites. However, one of my favorites and a new favorite of mine that I watched for the very first time last year, and I think any day now I'm going to watch it again, is A Christmas Story. Love this movie. I'm gonna put it above all of the other reindeer. This movie is pretty crass and mean, and it's actually probably even meaner than Rudolph, but it's freaking hilarious and so charming. It's basically about Ralphie, this kid who wants to get a BB gun for Christmas and tries everything to convince Santa to give him one, but his parents are afraid he'll shoot his eye out. And ultimately, he gets one for Christmas and stuff like that, but he shoots his eye out. It's mean, but it's freaking hilarious. I love this movie so much. It's so freaking... I can't believe I never watched it earlier. Let's just put it like that. Gremlins. Gremlins is an awesome Christmas movie. Another awesome Christmas movie. I'm going to put it above Mickey's Christmas Carol. Gremlins is basically about this father getting his kid Billy a Christmas gift. It's a pet mogwai, but there's rules to these mogwais. You can't get them wet. You can't put them in bright light. And especially, you can never feed them after midnight. Otherwise, they breed into these scaly gremlin creatures. And then they go and wreak havoc all around town, and it's freaking classic. What else can I say? I love the movie Gremlins. And the last movie on this list is another S tier. Tim Allen's The Santa Claus. This movie is I'll put it below Home Alone. Tim Allen's The Santa Claus is not a movie I watched a heck of a lot. The first one is by far the one I've watched the most out of all of them. But what I like about this movie is sort of the father-son relationship in this movie. But it's hilarious. This is an absolute freaking laugh fest. I love it. It's probably Disney's best Christmas movie of all time. I love it. Alright, and that's it. That's the tier list for my Christmas movies. These are my ranking of all the Christmas movies. The fact that some of the S tiers are on here, are on the bottom half of the list, just goes to show you how much I love Christmas movies. They're just so charming. If I watched these movies all year, it'd probably be a little bit different, but during late November and December, perfect time to watch Christmas movies. They're just so charming. I'd put most of them in S, but I'll give you my top 5. Number 5 is All of the Other Reindeer. All of the Other Reindeer is such an underrated Christmas movie about this dog who mistakes the term all of the other reindeer for all of the other reindeer, and she goes up to the North Pole basically to save Christmas. Number 4, A Christmas Story. This is a new one for me. I can't believe I didn't watch it years earlier, but it is such a freaking charming watch and so funny and mean, but in a great way, sort of like Rudolph. Number 3 is SpongeBob SquarePants Christmas Who. The very first SpongeBob Christmas special to be released is one of my absolute favorites. It's so charming the way Squidward saves Christmas that I just love it. Number 2 is Jim Carrey's How the Grinch Stole Christmas. The older I get, the more I freaking adore this movie. It's so funny and crass and stuff like that, and Jim Carrey is one of the funniest actors of all time, in my opinion, and this is probably his best, in my opinion. I love this movie. But number 1 is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. It's just such a... Every year I have to watch it to kick off Christmas, basically. It has to be the first film I watch. It's a bit maybe petty sounding, but every year this is the first film I gotta watch, and it's always the same. Every time I watch it, I love it. I've already watched it for this year. I'm probably going to watch it again before the end of the Christmas season, but Rudolph is by far my favorite Christmas movie of all time. So that's about it, guys. I hope you guys like the 11th round of tier lists. Round 12 will probably be coming out in either January or February of 2024, and yeah, I hope you look forward to more Christmas content coming on the channel soon, and that's about it. Gaming 2 here. See you later. Bye.